A very good day to you. Welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. This particular Friday, my name is Jedel Kabiro. I'm here with Prof. Manyora, going to talk about everything that is happening in the country. And that everything means Rigathi Gachagua is impeached. Prof, great to see you this particular morning.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Of course.
I was at a sunshine today in the morning, and they were telling me tulichoma kura when we voted Ruto Rigathi. Now that Rigathi is out, they don't know why they went to vote. Do you think this is the particular feeling of Kenyans that voted for Ruto Rigathi ticket?
Yeah, more so from the mountain. The people of the mountain are feeling, they are feeling bad.
Let's take a look at the events that happened yesterday.
Kwanza ile biti tutaamka asubuhi tugadhure Ruto. Hiyo inawachoma sana.
We expected the Deputy President to be cross-examined yesterday at around 2:30 p.m. He fell ill. Amason Kingi came back, told members of Senate that they will have to give the senior counsel meeting till 5 p.m. goes to understand what is happening. They decide he's ill, but we must go on. First of all, that decision from where you sit, could they have extended the time for listening to Gachagua?
It's a very strong point that the Gachagua legal team will bring out. A very strong point. This 10 days is a creation of Kingi and his cronies. There was a script, but there's nothing. There's no time limit in the Constitution.
The time limit in the Constitution, as I know, as in the Constitution, is that a committee is formed and they come up with a decision within 10 days.
Yes, a committee.
Okay, so when
because that means when the committee comes up with a decision, then Senate takes over, and there's no limit to the number of days the Senate can handle the issue.
But now that there was no committee, doesn't this mean?
So now it just goes, it's open. So there's no limit. It's absolutely. Even if it was there, the law of extreme necessity would have applied. For example, if somebody dies during an election is repeated. That is by law. But the law of extreme necessity would say, just supposing the deputy president there was a time limit, and that was the last day, and he's taken ill or is involved in an accident, you just extend it under the law of extreme necessity. Because these things are guidelines for an orderly conduct of a business, so that the succession is orderly. Like we are borrowing from the American thing. On the first Tuesday of every fourth year, November of every, that kind of thing. This time it will be 5th, the other time it was 4th. And then the president will be sworn in on 20th of January before noon. Just for order. Nothing will go wrong. If, for example, and God forbid, when you are swearing the President of the United States of America on the 20th of January, and a bomb was dropped just before he took oath, and everybody took cover, he was rushed in a bunker. You think he will not become president because the deadline was met? See, those things are put there for the orderly conduct of things. But there are certain provisions which you can't tinker with. But something to show this happens, then this follows, this on such a day, with the timeline. That's why we removed something in our constitution, which used to be there. That the nomination day was 1 day. And it was midday. If you missed, and people missed, if somebody hijacked you, or took your papers, quisha. That, I want Kenyans to, that midday. Kimani, there's somebody called Kimani somebody, very serious, Kimani somebody, in this Nyandaro side, Kipiripiri or something like that. He missed that deadline. By 1 minute, the DC has announced so-and-so is unopposed. Because the opponent didn't turn up. So, those things cannot be quitted to constitutional provisions that are serious in nature. These ones, if the man was coming to appear at 2, and then we hear he's involved in an accident, he's been rushed to hospital, for example, even if it had been provided for, the law of extreme necessity will have to apply. But in this case, they even had up to Saturday, according to their own 10 days. And even in their own 10 days, a liberal interpretation, since the parliament doesn't sit on Fridays and Saturdays, and Monday is a holiday, it will still have gone to Tuesday. So there was nothing. And that is the problem with being in a hurry. That is the problem of impunity. It makes you think you run the show. So a sensible judge or a sensible court will say, you didn't give Gachagua a chance, he was sick, and you should have given him time. But even by your own 10 days, you could stretch it to Tuesday. By your own 10 days, which is not there anyway.
Orengo says, we are the ones at loss, not DP Gachagua's side, because we were the one to cross-examine him based on the evidence that they have brought. Don't you think for Senate, they could have looked at this decision and say, because Orengo says we can go ahead with voting, let's go ahead with voting, because they are the
Before you say that, I listened to Orengo talk about these things in reference to a sick man. And I said, is this how far we have come as a country? Is this how far down we have gone? When an individual is said to be ill. We know people have played games, no doubt. People have admitted themselves to escape justice. We know that. But that coming from Orengo, excuse me, I said, no, it's not possible. And remember, Gachagua is smarter than these guys. These guys are ahead, but they are ahead of themselves.
How so? He's impeached, Prof. Gone.
That's not the end. There's still a chance, and a big chance that he can manage this game.
Come back to Orengo.
See, back to Orengo. The cross-examination. But this decision was already made. So Orengo just playing to the gallery, and the gallery is not with him. Yeah, because the decision is already made. By dint of the way things are happening, including night gazettement, it shows you that the decision is already made. So Orengo is just part of the script. So I must be allowed to say, for me, it is a very sad moment for this country. When this kind of thing coming from Orengo and somebody is said to be admitted, it's really sad. Remember why I'm saying these guys are ahead, but ahead of themselves. Do you know Dr. Gekonyo?
Yes.
Dr. Gekonyo.
Kibaki's doctor.
Yes. When Gekonyo comes out to speak to the Kenyan public about a deputy president being admitted, that's not something any court can take for granted. No. It counts for a lot. Gekonyo. And all these guys pretending, if they fell ill, they'll go to him. It's just him and Onyoike now.
So you believe his testimony?
Yes. He's very
will
weak.
Play a big role.
Oh, yes. He doesn't even need to go to court. He's already talked to the country. You just need to play that video in court. Dr. Gekonyo. Dr. Gekonyo saying somebody is under his care, and somebody is asking for a sheet of paper, or is it a sheet or a sheet of paper, or both?
Medical report.
Yeah. When somebody is taken ill, the doctors are trying to save his life, and you want a small piece of paper. And when the sickness of a deputy president ought to be broken to the nation by the president.
Yeah, there was that too.
After clearance from the intelligence. Those are things will play out in court. And they keep saying this. For both parties, both Rigathi Gachagua and William Ruto, for Raila Odinga in the Supreme Court, I've always said, when you have your legal team, let them work with other intelligent men and women to help see the situation properly. And I'm not saying I'm the one who should do it, but if I'm there, I can make a big change, a big difference. I can bring a big change. Because there are things I see they are not seeing.
Talk to me about senators now voting on Gachagua's impeachment. 5 grounds are the ones that have been used to impeach.
In fact, they went too high. I knew it would be 2 or 3.
By the way, we talked about that yesterday. You said that...
You know, I listened. It took a lot of patience and a lot of self-control to be able to go through to the last person. I think my senator was the last senator before the mover was called to reply. I went through all of them and I listened. It was a very painful experience.
I saw you
listen to people I respect. Omogeni, others, Cheruyo. These are people I respect. Only one man stood out, Charles Gay.
Who knew?
And history. I have told people history is a good judge, but it doesn't forgive. History doesn't forget, doesn't forgive.
Your tweet to Sifuna, the
Yes.
senator,
I
he
felt
said
very-
his political career is almost
Yes.
going down in
It's not
ruins.
almost gone. It's washed it down the drain. It's very painful to me. Listen to Sifuna, I almost now switched off the TV because here is a bright person with a bright future, dimming his own star. And I'll change them all, and I will explain. I know Sifuna will not be happy with me. He's my son, and I'm his father.
But he was looking at the grounds. Now talk to
No, there are no grounds. That impeachment has no grounds.
So
you see,
explain.
impeachment is a political process. So the first thing on the cards is, what does the country think? The first thing on the card. It's not however beautiful those charges are, however powerful they are, Senate is called upon to look at the mood in the country. And even the danger, the impeachment could occasion in the country. That's why in serious democracies, senators receive very serious briefing from the intelligence. Very serious briefing. Because that move of impeaching a president can bring down the country. So Sifuna, there were no reasons. First of all, actually there were no, the grounds were frivolous. The impeachment was childish. So let's not talk about anybody. Even the senators trying to bring out the support, they were at the pains and they looked stupid and they knew it. They looked so bad, especially intelligent people. When God has given you a brain, I keep telling even my students, when God has given you a brain, you have to be very careful. The moment you are engaging in something, you are even ashamed yourself, you feel stupid. That's what it was coming out. So you cannot say there was anything Sifuna was defending or explaining. There was nothing to defend, there was nothing to explain. I better keep quiet and even walk out of that chamber than open my mouth and make a fool of myself. But why am I singling out Sifuna and Otiende Amolo? Otiende Amolo has a small ground in Nyanza, a very tiny ground in Rarieda, where he's unmatched. But within the wider space of Luo Nyanza, he's nothing. They are heavyweights. Sifuna, a name Sifuna even in Western, who is Sifuna? But at the national level, Otiende Amolo and Sifuna have a serious constituency, have a serious following of people who believe these are very, very intelligent, serious future leaders. And then, so that constituency is the one I'm talking about, which is Sifuna and Otiende Amolo are allowing themselves to lose. So for Sifuna, he starts in a unique way into leadership of this country. He starts at the top. And once the Luya nation realizes, this star there is ours, then they own him. Then, pop, the sky is the limit. The same for Otiende Amolo. What is what Babu is playing at? You see, Babu is trying to merge the two.
Yeah.
He has a name at the national level, especially with young people. He has now moved on the ground to create a following on the ground in Luo Nyanza. Now to merge with the national thing, and Babu will go very far. Take it from me. And that is the route I thought Sifuna would be intelligent enough to see. If he went to Western Province, even if he called a small rally, nobody can come. He's nothing. Nobody knows him.
So,
but at the national level, he's big. And it's a matter of time before the Western people see the gem in him. They say, this is our person.
How do you balance for someone like Sifuna? Because we all expect, if he's making this decision to oust Rigathi Gachagua, it probably has come from the party,
of course,
which is ODM. How do you balance that? Because he's Sifuna in ODM. He has to go the party way. How do you balance that?
The moment Raila chose to go to Ruto, Sifuna needed to make a very painful decision. A very difficult decision. Not painful, very difficult decision. Whether to go on with that charade or to take the risk and go his own way. I admit it's not easy, it's difficult, but it's also possible. There is a game Raila is playing and they know. There are good things for them in future and for the country. I've not met Raila of late. I don't know whether he will tell me the game. You know, I'm a small person. But unless Sifuna is part of the game, for him it's a blunder. I just hope then that he's part of this. He knows what's going on. The undercurrents, and he knows where the game will will end.
Okay. For Rigathi Gachagua is now hospitalized.
Yes.
Together with his legal team. What
First of all, we must wish him speedy recovery. I purpose to go and see him. I knew there was a crowd yesterday. And it's not good to crowd a patient. So I want the crowd to ease, then I'll go and see him. But in the meantime, speedy recovery to my friend Rigathi Gachagua.
Next move for him, we expect a deputy president to be nominated so that parliament can approve. Next move for Rigathi Gachagua, now that he's no longer our deputy president, actually.
By Gazette notice. Yeah. Next, I hope he'll be in court. If the courts don't grant him injunction to stop the president from nominating and parliament from voting on the name, then he should know that the judiciary will not help him.
They don't grant him
Today,
that injunction.
that decision as to whether the court will help him will be known today. The judiciary can even pretend and say, since the president has 14 days, what is the hurry? This matter shall be determined before 14 days.
So if a name is nominated, Gachagua should know the judiciary will not help him.
It will not help him. If the judiciary doesn't stop Ruto from nominating or a parliament from voting on the name, then Gachagua should give up. He will now only move to the Supreme Court for a advisory on whether that requirement of him not running for public office will hold, given the case then he will put forward of how this impeachment took place, denying him the right to speak for himself and so on and so on and so forth. The advisor from the Supreme Court may be, well, I think all factors considered, you can still run.
Do you foresee a situation where Gachagua might be allowed to run again?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, an advisor from the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court will be extremely unrealistic, completely blind, not to see the charade that this impeachment was and find one entry point for giving reprieve to Gachagua in terms of him running in the future.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning into that conversation. Impeachment aftermath. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua no longer our deputy president. Have yourself a lovely rest of your day.